joining us today and welcome to my sewing room. Curved and squared pintucks make a beautiful embellishment. What is a curved pintuck or a squared pintuck? Well, this is a squared pintuck. On this lovely christening dress, it goes down into a V and then goes back over the shoulder. There is another very elegant use of these squared pintucks on this godet. They go down into a V and go back up into the V. A lovely lady's nightgown made of tricot is another beautiful place for the embellishment of curved pintucks around the neckline. This little robin's egg blue dress has a very interesting treatment of pintucks, this time squared pintucks. Now I'm going to travel down the bottom of this skirt and find this lace-shaped leaf, which is mitered at each end. Then inside this lace-shaped leaf are V'd pintucks. They go down and then up and down and then up. They're very easy to make, and that's what I would like to share with you today. This blouse is perfectly plain, perfectly elegant, and perfectly inexpensive, which is an exciting factor also in any type of sewing. Curved pintucks travel around the front. Curved pintucks travel down the front of the blouse. Then the other embellishment is wing needle entredot stitching, which travels around the pintucks. Actually, just the cost of the fabric is all that is necessary for this very beautifully embellished blouse to belong in your wardrobe. A little bit more elaborate treatment of curved and squared pintucks is on this beautiful dress. And one of the things I love so much about curved and squared pintucks, it only takes the cost of a double needle to really embellish a garment beautifully. These squared pintucks, which turn into a curved pintuck right here on the bodice of the dress, follow the shaped lace. This same treatment is found on the skirt. It almost looks like little Christmas trees here with the shape of the curved pintucks. A beautiful treatment and a very inexpensive one. Blue silk. What a beautiful dress. At the top, it features straight pintucks. Now, the bottom treatment is so pretty. The laces are curved into scallops all around the skirt, and in between the two shaped laces are scalloped pintucks. Scalloped pintucks. So very easy to make. I'll take you to the technique boards and show you how you can make these beautiful curved and squared pintucks also. Shaped pintucks are very easy to make using this technique. Use either a 1.6 or a 2.0 double needle, straight stitch, short length, and needle down position if you have that on your sewing machine. Here's how it works. I trace off, in this case I went ahead and shaped my lace, and then I drew these lines to bisect everywhere these pintucks were going to turn around. Now here's what happens. I stitch along straight stitching until my double needles straddle the line that I just drew. In other words, when I stitch along and one needle is on one side and one needle is on the other side, I stop sewing. I lift the presser foot. I twist the fabric until it's going in the other direction where my presser foot is guiding along the edge of this lace, and then I begin sewing in the next direction. That is how you make scalloped pintucks. To make curved pintucks, I simply trace off one curve and stitch around it. Now, if I'm going to make a heart or some other figure, I can do one of two things. I can trace all around the heart and then just stitch on my tracing, or once again I can draw the line at the intersection point, and when my double needles straddle that line, I stop, lift the presser foot, and turn in a new direction. All right, I'm using a black pen to work on this diamond, although I will use a fabric marker on my garment. Now look here, I'm going to show you how I trace that line. I draw the line at the intersection point, and there's one line, here's another line, and another line. I start anywhere. Then I travel with my double needle up to the point, do you remember, where the double needles straddle the line I just drew. I lift the presser foot, twist the fabric, and begin to sew in the new direction using my lace as the guiding point. I'll make this a little bit more clear, showing you how to do this type of double needles on our quilt square. Today's beautiful quilt square features both curved and squared pin tucks. I'm running my finger along the area which I call a squared pin tuck. I come to this point, I turn around, I go to this point. Then this is what I'm calling a curved pin tuck. Very easy to make. I'd like to show you how. On my square, now I'm going to use this lace as the point to travel around. I will guide my presser foot along the edge there. And you can see I've already drawn these lines off, but let me just show you what I do. In order to draw the lines that where I'm going to turn around, I simply put my little marker and my little magic ruler down, and I come over here and simply draw off another line. Now I've already drawn those. The setting on the machine is a straight stitch. The length is 1.5. The needle down position, if your machine has a needle down which is available, please engage that. And if you will notice, I do not have a pin tuck foot on. I'm simply using a regular presser foot. I am guiding the edge of the presser foot right along the edge of the lace. And now, straight pin tucks, here we come. Short stitch length, 1.5 is one of the real keys, and a small double needle, either 1.6 or 2.0. Now here is the real critical point. I keep stitching, stitching, stitching straight as if I'm going into La La Land, it almost looks like. And then when my double needles straddle the line, I lift the presser foot. Now watch carefully, because this you probably aren't going to believe. This is the really, oh, I'm twisting, twisting, twisting. You're saying, oh, Martha, what's going to happen? You're twisting. Yes, I'm twisting. And after I twist it all the way around, I start straight stitching again, and I stitch down to the next point, and I have a beautiful turn there. That's all in the world there is to making double needle pin tucks. And what do I do when I come into the next one? I wait until my double needles straddle the line, and then I lift the presser foot and I twist. That is all there is to making double needle pin tucks. Now, let me show you the curved pin tuck. Here I have drawn on the lines for you. In other words, I have my shaped lace, the curve, the scallopy lace is already there. Then I have drawn, once again, taking the little stick, I've drawn a line at the top, and here drawn a line at the bottom, because actually I want to do curved pin tucks coming up here, and then coming around here, and coming up here, and I will have to stop when I straddle the line. Then I want to come down below and do a curved pin tuck using my presser foot to come here. When I come to this line, when it straddles, I will raise the presser foot, twist the fabric, and come all the way back around here. You know what else I would like to show you? I think I forgot to mention how you thread the double needles for the double needle pin tucks. You have to have 2 spools of thread, and then I put 1 spool in one side of the little metal fitting here, and I come down at one side of the thread, and I come back and thread it just like I would thread a regular sewing machine. Now let me get my scissors here. Okay. And now let's see if I can see to thread this thing. I bet I can, with the help of these nice trusty glasses. All right, now you lift the other piece of thread from your other spool, and I bring it down and put it on the other side of that first little metal plate there. And then I bring it back down, and I will thread it in the other side. And that is how you thread for double needle pin tucks. All right, now let's make some curved pin tucks. I guess I better cut this one off, hadn't I? Let's make some curved pin tucks here. Once again, I'm following, using the presser foot to follow the curve. Regular presser foot, you do not have to have a pin tuck foot. Okay, now I'm going to stitch, stitch, stitch. I'm using the presser foot to follow the curve, and this is all there is to making curved pin tucks, beautiful curved pin tucks. Then, now you help me remember what I just taught you. All right, now then I'm going to stitch and stitch and stitch, and then when I get almost there, I'll really slow it down. And now my double needles have straddled that line. I'm going to lift the presser foot and twist, and the needles are in the sewing machine. And you're going to think, Martha, goodness gracious, when you start sewing again, you're going to either have broken your needles or there will be a terrible twist of fabric up there. And I'm here to tell you neither one of those things happened. It is absolutely like magic, and it means it's just so easy to be able to make these curved and squared Pintucks. Now you see I'm very carefully just veering it around. Now help me again, you help me remember. I'm going to come until the double needles, let me look real careful. Okay, that's a straddle right there. I'm going to lift the presser foot. Once again, twist. Oh, that just makes some people just cringe. How on earth can you twist? Well, after I twist, and then after I sew, it won't be a twist up there at all. It truly is just like magic. And then I follow around in the curve. Now, I'm going to go ahead and lift this out, taking my needles out to show you. Come over here with me, please. You see how I followed the curve, and there is no twist whatsoever there. Even though it looked as if there were going to be a twist, it turned around just beautifully, and I'm following the curve all the way down and around. That is absolutely all there is to making these curved and square double needle Pintucks. One of the most critical things, let me refresh your memory one more time, is drawing these lines. Anywhere you need the turnaround point, you definitely need to have those lines so you will know exactly where to turn around. You might be thinking, Martha, now I just don't believe that really will work. However, I believe you've seen it in live action right here underneath this sewing machine. When I teach sit and sew classes around the country and actually around the English-speaking world, everyone says to me, now Martha, I'm just sure that won't work. And then I have the most surprised students when they look up at me after turning those first 2 or 3 corners and say, oh, well, it really did work, and it's fun and easy and inexpensive to do. This blouse to me is a lovely example of flat lace work, curved lace work, mitering, and using lovely double needle Pintucks to go around and really emphasize those beautiful curves. This is a beautiful neckline finish on this blouse too. It's very simple and very tailored. It has the entredot, and then there's a bias binding used at the top of the entredot. I think that's a really pretty neckline treatment. So you draw your lines on everywhere you're going to turn around. You remember the double needles have to straddle those lines. This peach overblouse, it's a lined and very simple to make overblouse, absolutely is French sewing on a budget. It costs nothing except the fabric that it's made of. No laces, no trims at all. The squared Pintucks are diamond shaped down the front. There are actually 3 Pintucks within each diamond. Very simple and very elegant. There are 2 lovely looks for a woman's blouse, one very plain and one a little fancier. Pintucks are awfully fun to put in all different kinds of avenues, and the next one I'd like to share with you is a beautiful pillow for your home. This little pillow is the epitome of double needle Pintuck, shaped in, oh, so many shapes. The lovely lace is shaped, it looks to me a little bit like leaves on this pillow. And you see these wonderful Pintucks that go all the way around the leaves. The Pintucks are on the inside of the leaf, and the Pintucks even make a little teardrop in this bottom little teardrop closure that hangs down. Oh, so pretty. This little envelope pillow is very easy to make. It simply is a little envelope, stick in your pillow, and then the little flap. And that is why it's called an envelope pillow, because of that little flap. I have drawn out for you, actually we've pinned the lace shaping here, so you can see it is not stitched, but the lace shaping is pinned on this pillow. And then I have actually drawn the lines for you to see where the double needle Pintucks would be. And this is an easy way to do it. Or you can just draw the bisecting points. You remember where you draw the line out and then your double needles straddle that line and then turn around. However, another way to do it is simply to trace off, especially on an intricate design like this. Another way is simply to trace on the Pintuck lines, as you can see I have done right here. All of the Pintuck lines are traced on, so I will simply have to, first of all, zigzag the laces down or wing needle entredot stitch the laces down, and then travel around with my double needles and either a Pintuck foot or a regular zigzag sewing foot and put my double needle Pintucks all over this lovely pillow. I have another little trick to show you. This pillow started out as simply a long piece of fabric. Then it is folded up to make the first part of the envelope and then serge it, and then the lovely part and the fun part to do would be the lace embellishment on this little envelope part that comes across. Now after these Pintucks are in, I will put my gathered lace on, trim it away, and there is another lovely project. Dolls like to wear double needle Pintucks too. And I have a special little friend who is waiting to meet you in her beautiful double needle Pintucked dress. Beautiful scalloped Pintucks travel from the top of the bodice of this little coat dress, except it really isn't a coat dress, it just looks like it's a coat dress, all the way down the skirt and around to the back. Beautiful scalloped Pintucks, three rows of scalloped Pintucks follow the laces on the bodice, and then those same 3 rows of scalloped Pintucks follow the laces as they come down around the skirt and all the way around the hem. This little coat dress looks like a very hard dress to make, but I do promise you it is very, very easy. Very easy to draw off, very easy to shape, and I think you know how very easy it is to make double needle Pintucks. I begin with a pattern for the scallops. And putting this pattern, as you can see, I have my scallops, and I also have the lines that will be my turnaround points on the double needle Pintucks. Okay, now that I have my pattern, it is now time to go put the pattern underneath, and here we are. I have taken my dots, dot, 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 and then draw the line, dot, 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 dot. It's easier to dot off a pattern rather than to try to draw the straight line. So I have it all drawn off on one side. On the other side, you see I have shaped the lace already. I've shaped the lace, folded in the miters, and right here you can see I have pulled the thread to make the little scallops lay down. So my scalloped lace comes all the way around the skirt, and I've pinned it flat and pressed it. And here I'm going to show you, oh boy, here we are. Now then, the scalloped lace has been stitched down, and right here I have butted the gathered lace up to the scallops and simply zigzagged them. After the scallops are stitched down and then the gathered lace is put on, then what do I do next? You remember, why do I have those little lines drawn there? That is for the double needle Pintucks. So remember, I will come around, and then when my double needle straddles this line right here, my double needle straddles this line, I will stop sewing, lift the presser foot, and turn and go around in the next direction, and then I will use those rows of Pintucks as my guiding area for the next row of Pintucks, and then so forth and so on, as many as you would like to put in there. Very easy to make. Now this particular little dress was made for a doll, but it would be just as pretty made in a child's garment or even using the skirt ideas on a pillow for your home. I next have a really exciting craft idea to share with you. My craft today is a lovely silk ribbon embroidered covered box, very easy to make, a little porcelain box. This would make a lovely jar for anyone's living room, or just a little box to put trinkets or jewelry or even bath powder in a wonderful dressing room. Very easy to make this little jar cover. This particular one is not silk ribbon embroidery, it's a purchased tea towel that I have cut a circle. Now how do you get the size circle? In the jar, when you buy that little jar, there's a kit that comes with it. I trace off the actual size of the center circle, and then I make it about a ½ inch larger. I run a little gathering row by hand around that. There's a little piece of padding that goes in here, and a little plastic piece. I put the padding over the little plastic piece, put the circle lining that up, let's see if I can get it lined up here, over this, and then I turn it over after I get the circle all lined up with a little piece of padding. I turn it over and give it a little pull to gather. Hang on just a minute, let me get this one pulled back in there. Now, after I get it on the circle, next I slip the little ring over it. There we go. To see how pretty that's going to look? Then I go back to the back and pull the little strings one more time to finish gathering this. And I pull and get it all laying down nice and flat. Then this little metal thing slips in here next. The little metal circle clips in there next, and that actually holds the whole thing in place. So you just slip it in next, and then the finishing touch is to put the little round circle on there that has almost a felt-like back to make it pretty. And that is how easy it is to make this jar cover. Put it over here, put it on the jar. I love to collect antique clothes. Let's take a trip to my attic, and I'll share some of these special treasures with you. I really enjoy having you come to my attic with me and sharing some of the garments out of my grandmother's trunk. This blouse is a very simple to make and a very elegant blouse, featuring pintucks which run up and down the front, laces, insertion. This little detail right here I especially like. It has 4 buttons placed together. Then there's a little space with no buttons, and then 4 more buttons. Another beautiful blouse in my collection has pintucks, released pintucks on the shoulder right here. Lots of pretty lace shaping, very intricate lace shaping with Swiss embroidery around the neckline, Swiss embroidery down the front, and more pretty pintucks over on the other shoulder. I always enjoy showing the backs of these turn-of-the-century garments because they are just absolutely elegant with pintucks, lace shaping, pretty buttons. They're almost as pretty as the front. I now have a little silk, little girl's dress for a child, about 8 years old. The round lace around the neckline is edging. It is an insertion. This is a little bit unusual. The pintucks are featured in the front and on the side, and as you can see, this is a very easy dress to make. I would pintuck this section, this section, this section, and then stitch the laces down on top of the pintucks and then cut it away. A pretty little silk dress. Once again, I cannot resist showing you the back of this dress. The little bodice is absolutely beautiful and as elaborate as the front almost. It's very unusual to find silk pieces in this condition, by the way, because silk tends not to hold up quite as well as cotton does. For my Sewing from the Heart segment today, and by the way, this is a segment which shares with you volunteer work that women are doing using their sewing machines. This is a little bit different story I have to read to you out of a paper. A business owner in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, has joined with a group called Cultural Contacts International of New York to get advanced sewing equipment into the hands of Russian fashion designers and quilters. This contact is using fashion and quilting as her means of uniting the two nations. She takes groups of American fashion designers and quilters to meet with their counterparts in Russia. Now here's where this business owner comes in. They needed machines, sergers, equipment that he had traded in for people who got newer models, and really there's not much demand for. So this particular business owner sent free of charge 10 sewing machines and 5 sergers for Cultural Contacts' December 1991 tour. And then again, this particular business owner sent another 5 machines for the 92 tour, and so forth and so on. In other words, donating machines to women in Russia who did not have a machine. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved having you here, and I'll see you next time.